Hello, welcome to a video where I'm going to showcase some battles from the Great League, from a Show 6 Pick 3 format, just like the regions always are. This time we're gonna specifically look into a Pokemon that's becoming stronger since Walrein has been nerfed. That Pokemon is Altaria, right here. Altaria is not invincible, don't get me wrong. But since Walrein is gone, it has way more play now, and it beats Pokemon that are used very frequently. It wins a lot of neutral matchups as well. Medicham, Swampert, Trevenant. It has good play against Lickitung. It does well against Sableye. It annihilates Diggersby, should you ever see one. There's a lot of Pokemon, right? There's a lot of Pokemon. It does lose to Steel types and pretty hard to Fairy types, right? Azumarill and Charmers are things Altaria really don't want to see. The Steel types actually aren't the worst. If you don't get debuffed against Registeel, you can actually win that matchup in the 2 shields. So that's pretty cool. G-Fisk is not great. They come out with a lot of energy, but usually if you're full health, G-Fisk needs 3 Rock Slides, I believe. And in the process you can get them really low. So it could be a very good safe swap to bait out G-Fisk and then like sweep with a Charmer, for example. So the person and the team we're gonna look at is from Penchu, a really cool British guy, and he's running Alolan Sandshrew as well. We're not gonna see it as much, but we are gonna see so much Altaria play, and you'll be, if you see these battles, you'll definitely be convinced that this is the meta Pokemon right now. He also runs a Medicham Lickitung core, while Altaria has become more meta now and kind of breaks it. Doesn't hard counter the core, but it does very well against it. This core is probably still the most solid, right? Probably the most unbreakable. And he also has a Shadow Venusaur, Shadow Swampert, 2 Pokemon that lose pretty hard to Altaria, but he covers Altaria himself with with Alolan Sandshrew. Really depends how much you want to use that in a meta full of G-Fisk and fighters, but let's take a look. His first opponent is Tom Keen, I hope I pronounced it well, who's kind of using an off-meta team in Meganium and Tentacruel. Meganium is definitely not a pick I would recommend nowadays, simply because it loses not just to like fire and flyers, it also loses to other grass, right? Trevenant and Venusaur are not great for it, so I would not recommend Meganium. I think it once used to be really good. It's pretty bulky and hits hard, wins most neutral situations, and it maybe has some niches to it, right? As Earthquake as well, it destroys G-Fisk, but it's a very risky Pokemon to use, right? If it's get aligned to Altaria, it's over. Tentacruel has been buffed lately with the Scald. I don't know how good that's gonna be at Show 6. I think it has a lot of neutral play, so I think that's pretty cool about it. Let's take a look here. Penchu versus Tom Keen. We're gonna show one battle from each set here. We got the Altaria Mirror here. This is a classic. This is a classic. And in the back, he is running Medicham and Lickitung. Altaria Medi is a very strong core if there is no Charmers on the opposing team. Some players tend to go straight Sky Attack here. If you're weak in the back, I would definitely go Sky Attack here. I guess he can kind of afford. You can also shield first and go for Moonblast or Baits, I guess. Let's see. Goes for the Sky Attack as well instead, and the opponent lets that go. They probably have a G-Fisk in the back. Penchu is looking to stay in here and throw a Moonblast. I guess at this point you kind of just want your Medicham aligned to this G-Fisk here and just stay in. Yeah, I think you let this go. Yeah, he just wants his Medicham on this. That's perfectly fine. But if it's the opposing Medicham in the back, it's actually becoming very tricky. And it is the opposing Medicham. Penchu making a very quick swap into his Lickitung. This is actually an okay matchup for Lickitung because of super effective licks, right? You take super effective counter, but your charge move, your fast, your low energy strong stab charge move actually wins you this matchup in neutral scenarios. So let's see. He will get to another body slam here. He doesn't win this with a shield down, obviously, but you get some good chip into this Medicham. This is actually looking quite good for Penchu. You just need to shield the correct move here. If you don't shield Psychic, you will be in Earthquake range, but if you shield it, they can't Earthquake you. He decides to let it go. and throws the Ice Punch here. That may have been necessary. I didn't count, but maybe it was necessary to prevent the opponent to getting to another move there. And now he needs to get to the Ice Punches before the opponent gets to all these Earthquakes. And the opponent did farm up a lot on that Altaria. I think if you... Oh, he no-shields this. I think that's a very good call. The opponent Earthquakes. Oh, that's a tough loss. That's a tough loss. So the thing here is, if the opponent baits the Rock Slide, they will be at the Earthquake in 5 Mud Shots, which means they would outpace Penchu to an Ice Punch. So this really is a 50-50. I think it was a smart play to no-shield, but the opponent kind of read it or doesn't bait. And, well, then you lose. It happens. It happens. Well played, though. Penchu lost this set by 1-2. Let's take a look at matchup number 2 against xPenchu. Probably how I pronounce it. And this is, I think, the meta team. I think you can probably not go wrong with this line that xPenchu is running. It's probably the meta and the strongest line there is. It's almost like no core breakers to it. He has coverage for everything. Swampert, he beats that with his Trevenant, Lickitung, and Altaria, right? So his G-Fisk and Nidoqueen is covered there. Fighters, he covers it with the Trevenant and Medicham and the Altaria. Altaria, he covers it with the G-Fisk, his own Altaria, and Lickitung is so-so against it. Really solid team by xPenchu. I think this is an overall very neutral matchup. One thing that does stand out here is Alolan Sandshrew, actually, because it can beat Trev, can beat Licky. It's not great, actually, Licky, despite all the charge move being resisted. It can beat Nidoqueen pretty solidly and Altaria. So let's see if we can see some play from that here. If there was a time to bring it, this is the time. But Alolan Sandshrew has enemies, and it is in the back. He runs into an Altaria lead, that's terrible. But with the Lickitung safe swap, he actually baits out this Medicham. And actually CMP's there. This is actually a very lucky CMP, because if you don't CMP, the opponent gets a counter through. And it looks like Penchu just wants to get the shield advantage here. If it's G-Fisk in the back, it's probably over anyway. So you will get to another body slam here. If the opponent no shields, Lickitung will win the 0 shields here. So I expect a shield. You want your Altaria on that Venusaur as opponent. So let's see what he's going to do here. Psychic will basically almost one-shot Shadow Venusaur, so it's not easy to use your shields here, to be honest. You might just want to farm down with Venu, shield it, yeah. And you'll have Sludge Bomb to still hit for 50% on Altaria, which could really be useful in endgame. Let's see. Opponent, he's expecting the Altaria. Opponent comes in with the Altaria, and the back is the Lickitung. So the charge moves from Lickitung are resisted, but he has a way better stat distribution. Penchu decides to go straight Blizzard here. Lickitung might not shield this. Beautiful, beautiful. That Lickitung is actually gonna get clapped by an Alolan Sandshrew. This opponent actually gets clapped by an Alolan Sandshrew. This is a very tricky situation. You don't want to shield this, kind of, but also your Altaria is not going to farm this down. So yeah, the opponent now shields a Night Slash. That feels so bad. He will definitely be in a very good spot if he shielded that Blizzard. I guess he kind of underestimated how much that did to the Alolan Sandshrew, because it's kind of lower CP, has a lower stat distribution. But that definitely hurt, and in comes another one on this Altaria, and that means that the Sandshrew actually sweeps here. Beautiful. Well done, Penchu. Well done. Well done. I can appreciate a Sandshrew play. He's a big fan of it, but I think it's also very tricky to use it in the Show 6. Big 3 format in Open Great League. The next opponent is E4 Brunam. He has a Galvantula, which is spicy nowadays, especially since Trevenant and Nidoqueen became a thing. We haven't seen much Galvantula. I don't think it has a lot of play. It actually does against Penchu, right? Penchu only has Swampert to answer it, and even Swampert is so-so. I believe if you let the first lunge through on Shadow Swampert, Galvantula can actually flip it. So let's see. Altaria lead into Trevenant. That's decent. This is somewhat neutral with shields up, but Altaria just Dragon Breaths down, and in comes that Galvantula, which doesn't do particularly better against Trev. Sorry, against Altaria. Does let that lunge through. Yeah, I think if this Galvantula decides to shield now, might have to double shield even, you do flip this. But I'm not sure. Yeah. Wait. Oh my, he can even let that go. I thought Galvantula can't take that very well. Let's see. It does get shielded, and Galvantula takes switch advantage here by 1 HP. It does get Dragon Breath down, so it doesn't even get that move off. Kind of unfortunate for them, but they need a Registeel here to hard counter this Altaria. Let's see what is in the back. It is that Registeel. So one thing that's notable about here, Altaria is not the worst against Registeel. The Dragon Breaths really add up, Lock-ons don't, and like Registeel can only do Zap Cannons, right? And on the other hand, in the back we have the Shadow Venusaur, also resisted moves only, but it actually beats the Registeel when shields are up, so that's pretty cool. Shadow Venusaur can also beat Trevenant when shields are up. Just straight Frenzy Plant. You might have to call a move though. Penchu decides to no-shoot that, doesn't get the debuff. I think you have to throw before Registeel has the opportunity to debuff you. Because then these frenzies will do way and way less. I'm also surprised by the opponent staying in, because that means that they just throw their Regi away against this, which they needed for the Altaria. Why do you go for switch if you don't do anything with that? And now Penchu farmed down this Trevenant this Registeel almost completely and gets to so many Sludge Bombs. At this point, even a Frenzy would take out this Trevenant. Yeah, Shadow Venusaur is an absolute menace, and the most beautiful thing about it, it breaks Swampert A9 cores. But we actually haven't seen any A9s on these teams yet so far. A9 actually is a popular pick, but we haven't seen it yet. I wonder why. Probably because Nidoqueen became more common as well. Skytech does super effective there, and Altaria breaths down that Registeel. I think the opponent could have made it closer. It already was pretty close, but they could have put up more of a challenge, I think, if you swap your Trevenant into that Venusaur, right? Because you want your Registeel for the Altaria. Trevenant doesn't have much play there. Let's take a look at the next matchup. Penchu against Evan. Evan, I like this guy. He's a Shadow Beedrill master. But Evan, if you look at his team, is living in the past. Because Evan, my good friend, Altaria is meta now. And if this is a Water Gun Lantern, you have nothing. Your best answer is Lickitung, and even Lickitung is so-so against Altaria. Evan has an incredibly tough matchup here. Let's see how he's gonna try this. Altaria into Medicham. So looking at the teams, this might be Evan's best matchup, honestly. So it's very obvious that Penchu will bring this, and he even swaps in his Lickitung to catch this, preserving the Altaria to the maximum. And this Ice Punch damage doesn't do much on the bulky Lickitung at all. The only thing that can really catch a Body Slam or take it on Evan's team is a Sableye, and you don't want to swap that really into a Lickitung. Evan decides to stay in here. Knowing Evan, he probably has a Beedrill on the back. Psychic comes through. Do you get there? You don't. Let's see what Penchu's going to do here. There's not a lot on Evan's side that has a lot of fast move pressure on Swamperts or Altaria, so that's kind of tricky. Obviously there's the Sableye that's also somewhat neutral against the Altaria, but it's still not a winnable matchup. Moonblast will do so much damage here, and Altaria can take this foul play pretty easily. I think Penchu knows at this point that Shadow Swampert with his shield up can basically beat anything on Evan's line. Let's take a look. He's gonna swap into the Swampert immediately. I believe the Medicham is in Mudshot down range. In the back is a Beedrill. Classic Evan, classic Evan. I believe if you have one Poison Jab advantage, this matchup with 2 shields for Beedrill is not the worst. But it was the Swampert being a shield up here. Oh, actually, he makes the catch. Yo, Evan makes the catch. That's a pretty sick catch, to be honest. I'm not sure if that's gonna matter, though. An Exorcist doesn't KO yet from here. It does do like 40%, I believe. But the Swampert is so close to 2 Hydras already. Evan didn't even throw his charge move just yet. He does now. Does he have 2 here? X-Scissor might actually take out from this point. It's neutral on ground. But Evan did not have the charge move yet there. And he loses this battle. This Hydro Cannon kills this Beedrill. Not surprised. Evan is a really good player, but the team comp disadvantage is too massive here. Altaria breaks this team. I think Evan was not very well prepared for the non-Walrein meta just yet. We've not seen a Walrein really on opponents' lines yet. We're gonna take a look now at Penchu versus Red Cliffy, who has somewhat a degenerate line with Bastiodon and Alolan Ninetales Swampert Core. I also recognize the Caleb Peng line from GBO here, right? The Trevenant, Drapion, Bastiodon. These kind of lines still work pretty strong in Show 6, Pick 3 usually. And obviously the Medicham Basti Core is still strong. Not sure if Penchu wants to bring his Altaria here against an Alolan Ninetales Bastiodon team. But your Venusaur has so much play here. So we're probably going to see a lot of that. Even your Medicham can hit anything on Red Cliffy's side. So we might see that as well. The leads are Lickitung against Bastiodon. This is very bad for Penchu. He's going to swap out into that Venusaur as predicted. Now I believe that Shadow Venusaur can actually lose this matchup. I think it loses this matchup, honestly. You might just get smacked down in 2 shields. But these Frenzy Plants hit so hard. Like, you have to swap out as Red Cliffy at some point. Bastiodon is an alignment Pokemon. It's a wall. It's a wall, right? It's a wall. And that's what it needs to do. But Red Cliffy lets that go. And at this point, ooh, CMP is very good counting from Red Cliffy. At this point, it's very tricky for Penchu because he's a shield down. We need something like a Drapion in the back, maybe. Let's the Seed Bomb go here. The timers are almost aligned again. And Red Cliffy can actually wait out the clock here too to stall out the clock. Let's see. In comes the Basti and Red Cliffy staying in. Is it Drapion in the back? He's letting this Swampert farm up so much energy. In comes the first Hydro. If this doesn't get shielded, this takes out the Bastiodon, no matter how bulky that thing is. Does take it out. And in the back is that not Shadow Charmer. It's a Charmer, a normal Charmer. And kind of poor timing there for Penchu, doing about, I believe, 6. I think he did 6 mud shots or something against 4 charms. So that's kind of that means that another charm comes through there. He does get the 2 Hydros though, so as for result, it doesn't really matter. But I think this is kind of a waste from Red Cliffy, because if he brings in that Charmer immediately, the Swampert doesn't have that much energy. Plus, you have your Bastiodon for this Lickitung here. And Lickitung is actually pretty solid against this Charmer. Like, if you match your shields, you win this. You win this as Lickitung in every even shield. So I think that's pretty sick. This does get kind of close, but Lickitung proving to be very strong here. And I think the opponent could definitely have won this. You just swap out, you win. We're not going to review the second battle, but for those who satisfied, the opponent played Trav, Drapion, Basti in the second game, and it got obliterated by Penchu. I found it pretty funny that the opponent played a Caleb Peng, the GBL line in Show 6. And he got, well, hard countered. Penchu had Swampert Medi in the back. Let's see. Wait, that's me! I also played this tournament of 7 rounds. I myself had a 4-0 start. And then I got pretty RPS'd by Trent. Also a very good player from the States. And, well, I couldn't really just find alignment. I don't know if I should call it RPS or just outcalled in team composition, honestly. And then I faced Penchu in the 5th... Is it the 5th round? It's the 6th round, sorry. I was 4-1 at this point. And I'm running a Jumpluff, Azumarill, Double Dark, and G-Fisk Nido Queen. At this point, I personally didn't even realize... I didn't know Penchu's playstyle that well, so I didn't know yet how good he is with Altaria. I don't really know. I think his Shadow Venu was definitely to be expected here. It's very strong against me, right? It has a lot of play anywhere. He leads his Lickitung into my Jumpluff. This is actually a decent matchup for Lickitung, and I believe that a Jumpluff, normal Jumpluff, should go straight Energy Ball here because 3 of those take it out. However, I go Acrobatics here. This is not the play because 2 of these do not take out a Lickitung from normal Jumpluff. From Shadow Jumpluff, you go straight Acrobatics here. Jump Love, just as bulky to be honest, can take those body slams pretty easily. So he's throwing another body slam, and I think Penchu's very happy to see this here, because this is basically the one thing that beats Venusaur very consistently. And this is actually a misplay on my side. If I go acrobatic once, I should go acrobatic all the way and just let this Jump Love go. So yeah, let's see what Penchu's going to do. He swaps his Venusaur into G-Fisk immediately, and this is so smart, because there's nothing on my line that beats Venusaur anymore. Right? If I swap out, at this point I have nothing anymore that can beat this Venusaur consistently, right? I would have to sacrifice a Pokemon if I swap out now. On top of that, I thought that he probably has something better against my G-Fisk in the back, right? Because Lickitung is paired commonly with Medicham, so I expected that in the back. This is a very strong CMP by Penchu on my Earthquake here. I undercharged that to get a little bit of energy advantage on my Sableye, but Penchu is in a good spot here. In comes the Altaria. I hoped for the Medicham. It's not though, and yeah, this is kind of tough. Penchu still has that Lickitung alive. Lickitung cannot really be farmed down easily by a Sableye, so there's like 3 more foul plays needed here, which is not great, which is basically impossible. This catch or attempt to catch very unnecessary, but at this point it's unwinnable for me anyway. I will need to get to a full foul play at this point. Even if I were to be able to even if I had the health to do so, this Altaria would outpace it to a Skytech. So I had to try return, claw it down, but Penchu's Altaria takes the win here. The Shadow Venusaur, however, is the one that really broke it here. Yeah, that takes me out. So yeah, well played by Penchu there. The second game was a bit RPS. He had this freaking Sandshrew on my Nidoqueen. I don't remember what else it was. I lost the lead, I lost the second matchup, and I think I lost the third as well. Let's take a look at round number 7 here. Penchu versus San... How do I pronounce San... Is it in Spanish San Judijo? I don't know. Apologize if I butcher up the name. But San Judijo is running a Shadow Jump Love and Dubwool. He's running some new Pokemon. I really like that here. And it really allows you to pivot the Jump Love with an Altaria in the back too. I really like that about San Judijo's line. Mew's moveset obviously is always a mystery, but usually you expect something like Surf and Wild Charge for maximum coverage. Except against Grass, which means that the Shadow Venusaur, again, might look pretty good. Another thing that looks good here is that Sandshrew. The Sandshrew does well against Mew, very good against Jump Love, and Altaria. Actually, just has 3 good matchups. Dubwool, Lantern, and G-Fizz are things you want to avoid, so still iffy. On the other hand, Altaria has played against 5 out of 6, so we'll definitely see that from Penchu here, probably. The Lickitung, also a lot of play here. Let's see, we got Sandshrew lead into that Mew, which is decent. You have a super effective Night Slash, but it doesn't hit as hard. He throws it immediately. This is very smart because he just tries to boost right away, right? And he does get that, so that means that the next power source immediately do so much damage here. At this point, I think Penchu's just gonna try to preserve this, also in case you run into a madman with Flame Charge, right? So yeah, next Night Slash comes in here. The Mew still has some energy and actually does shield that. Probably wants to get this Wild Charge in. They did bait with Surf. Yeah, you have Wild Charge with it then. And they swap in Dubwool. This is actually a really good play by the opponent because you force the buff, the Night Slash buff, away from your opponent. On the other hand, you lose Switch, but you were going to lose that regardless, right? So I think this is a good play by the opponent. But the opponent is also in a very tough spot, to be honest. In comes that Psychic. It doesn't get shielded. Probably makes no sense too, because the double kicks and body slams don't add up enough here. Medicham would survive another body slam even. Let's see what comes in here. It's the Altaria, and we have a pretty healthy Sandshrew still in the back. This is Sandshrews' game. This is Sandshrews' game. Opponent was underestimating the Sandshrew, and Sandshrew is going to take it all. This is unnecessary. This actually might give... Does this give your opponent a win con? If they like catch the Sludge Bomb on Mew and they farm the Venusaur all the way down or something, maybe this could actually be a win con for San Judijo, but he throws right before the Sludge Bomb, and yeah. Sandshrew cleans up. This Moonblast does a lot of damage, but it doesn't take out. He's one of that Night Slash to take out this incoming Mew, and now you need to Power Snow down this Altaria. It probably gets that done. There we go. Sandshrew actually taking the game. Actually was decent in matchup 2 and the last matchup, I believe. So that's pretty cool to see. So yeah, Penchu had a 6-1 run in this tournament hosted by Panic23. I'll drop his Discord link in the description. He hosts a lot of priced tournaments, and I believe he's hosting a monthly priced Open Great League tournament, so that's pretty cool. I participated myself as well. I had a 4-0 start, but ended up 4-3. Feels bad, man. That is what it is. You don't win everything. Sometimes you lose 3, sometimes you lose 1, by like Penchu. So yeah, thank you, Penchu, for featuring these battles, and I hope you liked the video. See you in the next one. Bye.